Hey Rule Breaker, Courtney here with some copywriting, business, and life advice for rebels with a cause. Today's topic is branding, one of my favorite all-time topics, and something I think is very, very, very misunderstood. Here's the deal. I've always done all of my own branding from the beginning. People ask me all the time where I got my website done, how I've done my brand, all that stuff, and I did it myself, and it really doesn't have to be that hard. You don't need a fancy designer, you don't need a fancy branding program or to pay tens of thousands of dollars to get your brand done. Totally not necessary. I'm going to give you 6 easy peasy ways that you can make your branding totally fun or whatever you want it to feel like and stand out and be memorable for your audience so that people will know that it's you when they stumble upon your social media or anything else you do that will have that signature touch that is totally you. Okay, so here are my 6 easy peasy ways to do your own branding. So number 1 is to pick a color that is your signature color or signature color palette, which I've done, and I have a couple of examples here, one being my wallet and another being my business card, which has the website header on it. I wanted to like push it up, but it goes out of focus. Little mini business card with the website header on it, which is changing, but the back is the hot pink, which you can tell it really totally matches my nails. So that's my signature color, which is hot pink. I also have teal as sort of like a backup color and blue. So pretty much everything I own is gonna fall in that palette. I have a signature color. It makes it really easy to pick colors for PDFs and links and email marketing and all that kind of stuff without having to have a pro tell you what to do. Okay, tip number 2 is to be really consistent. So you don't want to be changing the brand every time you make something new or people aren't going to recognize it. Sticking to a color is a great way to do that. You also probably want to stick to a font or two, stick to a certain way of saying things, all that kind of stuff. So have consistency across all social media platforms. This includes doing things like Instagram, having consistency with the looks of your photos, in Twitter, the types of tweets that you have, all of that. So make sure that all of that is happening the same way. The third tip that I have for you is to be you. Your brand should be all about you and it should feel natural for you. If I hated hot pink, I certainly wouldn't pick hot pink for my branding, but I loved it so much that I couldn't let it go. So your branding will change over time, you will change, you will evolve, and that's totally fine. You just want to pick something that you know that you've loved for a long time, you know that you're probably going to love for a while in the future and that you can stick with, even if it evolves and gets transformed over the years. All right, my 4th tip is that if you do have business cards, like this one here, make sure that they stand out and are different. How many boring business cards have you seen? And if you go to networking events, trust me, you've seen a lot. They tend to be very similar. I really don't understand the point of them. Every time I hand out this business card, which by the way was super cheap on moo.com, someone says, "Wow, that's different. I love this. I totally get you when I see this." That's exactly what you want from your brand. I didn't have to pay thousands of dollars to get that. I just have a photo, which I got for free, by the way, and some business cards that I just made up online by using my signature color. As simple as that. All right, tip number 5, I believe, is to maybe come up with a catchphrase or something that you say all the time. You can make the style of your copy the same. In fact, you totally should. Your voice should be consistent throughout all of the things that you do, but you can also come out with a specific, maybe a name for your audience. Hillary Rushford at Dean Street Society does this. She calls all of the women in her audience her Dean Street Betties. That's a great way of doing that. Her newsletter is called The Honor Roll. That's a really cute way of making sure that you stand out and are different and that your branding is really consistent everywhere. All right, so that's tip number 5. And then tip number 6 is my favorite one that I say all the time, and it's annoying, but it's the most important, is to get known for one thing. Your brand can't be consistent if you have your hands in a bunch of different things. However, Richard Branson does this really well. The Virgin brand is the brand for all of his companies in every industry that they're in, whether it's telecommunications or aviation or space travel, banking, you name it, it's going to be the Virgin brand. And that's the feel of the brand, right? It's sort of rebellious and fun, and it's going to be a different experience and not your typical status quo kind of business. So as long as you have a one thing factor, that personality that pops out, that is always going to be you, it's really easy to do your branding because you don't have to worry so much about color palettes and fonts and all of that. Yes, you want a signature color, the Virgin color red or that logo you're going to recognize anywhere, but it's also just that general experience of being fun and light and that kind of stuff. So make sure that your branding follows those principles and you will not go wrong. I hope you loved this video, and I will see you next week for more copywriting, business, and life advice for rebels with a cause.